infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
Remember to unmute
It is now
yourself.
12:30 and it's time for Road to Success, the journey. This extraordinary Jamaican is the youngest Maroon chief. He is a defender of freedom, culture, Mother Earth, and of the faith. As the paramount chief of the state of Akompong, Cockpit Country, Richard Currie carries the weight of history while charting a path for the future. And today we're absolutely honored that he could take time out of his busy schedule to take us on his journey. Chief Currie, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Kishima. Good afternoon, Jamaica and the rest of the world. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for making time out. No, we see you quite often, in the news. You're always talking about issues and situations. And today the conversation will be a little different because we also want to talk about you so we can get some insights to your background. So let's start with, your roots. How would you describe your upbringing?
So I am a son of the soil, right? I was born in, actually, I'm from Akompong, right? My mom, my dad are from the communities of Akompong and Bethsalem. And I grew up my first 5-6 years in Akompong before we moved from Akompong to a little community just outside of Santa Cruz called Goshen. There I went to Santa Cruz Prep, and from there went on to Monroe College, where I pursued the business, I'd say, subjects and the area of academics. And that for me, in that whole period I just explained, I had a journey of reckoning, a journey of heartbreak, and a journey of redefinition, because starting out in Akompong, being here in this quiet community, I grew up around the culture. January 6th was something we look forward to. I mean, there was Christmas, but then there was January 6th, right? That was our Christmas as kids. And being here in the community at that time, we would see the different elements of the culture being displayed. We would see the different dignitaries coming here, making speeches. And that when you hear the helicopter coming, that was the prime minister coming in. It was a big thing. And I never quite understood it, but I knew this was a very significant portion of my background and my history. So in that time, when we left and moved to Goshen, very shortly after, my father sadly passed away from a car accident. I was about 7 years old.
Wow.
And that was, yes, that was heartbreak. My father was the backbone of our house, but not just the house, not just the household. He was a very significant figure in the Maroon community, right? He was a Rastafarian in terms of his faith, but in the same speed, he never left his culture, but saw himself as a father figure and did a lot for other people in the community. So by that time, he would have, made a name for himself. And at the same time, us as kids coming up, I would have had two sisters at the
Chief Currie, can you hear me?
time. He passed away in an untimely fashion, and that of course was very tragic and redefining for me. My mom then took drastic measures to ensure that as kids we wouldn't struggle to see our way through. So she left Jamaica, went abroad, and pursued avenues to ensure that we were fine. So I don't want to be talking too much. I know you might have other questions.
Absolutely.
That was just the...
Yeah, no, absolutely. You gave us a lot right there. And, I can't even imagine what it must have been for you losing your dad at the age of 7. I know you said, initially your mom, she went abroad and all of that, but how did that significant loss impact, your life and also the life of your family?
So immediately, that was the first time I ever saw my mom cry. right? I never know big
Mm-hmm.
people could cry, right? So when I saw that, obviously it was very rattling for me. And at the same time, I'm sorry, there's a truck coming by. I hope it doesn't disturb us too much. But it was very life changing for me because at that time it felt like I immediately had to grow up because I was then telling her, don't cry, everything is
Mm-hmm.
going to be okay. I'm still not understanding that, my father was gone and not coming back, So when she eventually left, I had a lot of responsibilities on my back, right? Taking care of us, of my, my siblings, making sure that, when she sent a little money, I would take it back to a compound where they were. Because after my father died and she left, my three younger siblings at the time, because my brother was still in the belly when my father passed. So he didn't know who his dad was, and that was rather unfortunate.
Wow.
So again, it was just more of a maturing process for me, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that now I had to prepare myself to be more present for the family.
So having having taken on like all these huge responsibilities as a child, basically, how would you describe, say for example, your time from Santa Cruz prep school to Monroe College? What type of student were you, knowing what was happening at home and the level of responsibility that you had to take on?
So it was tough because again, with no mom, I was staying with a neighbor, and she became more like family. Miss Denise Duran, big her up, bless her up wherever she is, and I was there for quite some time, for the most part of high school. That's where I was until the latter part of Monroe, where I boarded on campus. So in my time at Monroe, I of course had friends who I had met at prep school who also transitioned to Monroe College. So we kind of kept that friendship and grew that friendship with others who we met along the way. And I was an active individual. I played a lot of sports, particularly football. And, I played under 12, under 13, 14, 16, and eventually the Costa
Hey.
Cup. So I would say, yeah, man. So I was a baller back then, and it was always good being a baller because you get like a perks that come with that. The environment and the atmosphere was a great one, and that year of the Costa Cup, where I played the second year when I was in upper six, we actually went to the semifinals, and it would have been maybe 25 years or so since Monroe had crossed those lines. Of course, we have a rich history as far as the Costa Cup is concerned, but we hadn't seen those glory days for years until we did it in was 1998, I believe. So that was a very significant year for me. I made solid friendships. Some of them continued on from there, and that kind of helped, shed some of the weight of feeling the pressures of not having a stable home or household. But I had very supportive family members and friends, particularly aunts who were overseas, like Aunt Alma, Melanie. Those people who would in and do what they could in those times. Very grateful for them, and of
Mm-hmm.
course other people who were around. I had uncles in Kingston and aunts in Kingston, Aunt Linda, Uncle Patrick. I would go and spend holidays and get some exposure of the city life as opposed to the country life.
So even though you love football and you went to different levels, like you mentioned the Costa Cup and so on, you still pursued your academics because at UTech you studied accounting and international business. What actually sparked your interest in these fields?
Let me tell you, from I was younger, and I always talk to my mom, and she always said, "Boy, I must always make sure I do my work and study and work hard, because at the end of the day, she'd like to know that I don't have it as hard as she has, endured, and our family would have been really having a hard time in that period. So she mentioned jobs like accounting, computer engineer, stuff like that. And the accounting took to me because I did actually like accounting. So that's what I did in at Monroe. And even as I dabbled in the sciences, it was really challenging for me to grasp the science. I only loved chemistry. Chemistry, I got a grade one in CXCs. But at this, I went on with the business mindset, and that pushed me to enlist in the School of Business at University of Technology. And when I went to the University of Technology, my first year, I had to decide because I had the opportunity of remaining at Monroe one more year to get a football scholarship to go overseas and study. I, thought about it, but didn't dwell on it too long because in those times, remember, there wasn't a figure out there as Jamaicans or young individuals who are here looking at persons within the realm of football making a life from football. The most that Billy Gardner really launched out. And he was the symbol of, a young schoolboy can really do this. And I remember playing a practice match against Woolmans in those times and was playing against Billy Gardner. Big up wherever you're Billy. It was just an eye opener that, you're going to have to work hard if you really want to make this. And that was just not enough to convince others that one could make a life from football. So as a youth coming out of Monroe, you always had to make sure you kept waving that banner of securing the educational aspect of your life before choosing anything else. So we were more focused on the academia side, but still having that love and passion, not having the support to really pursue it. So as I went to University of Technology, of course, football was my skill, and I entered in first year and made the collegiate team. That was a rarity in those times because if you're not a senior man, you can't come on the team. So as a young footballer coming in, I was given a certain amount of respect for just my abilities at the time. And in that first year, I believe we won the intercollegiate league, and that made me a little bit more how would I call it now, popular within the school community. So I had a lot of friends at UTech, right? And I was there for 4 years. I resided on Farquharson Hall, right? Stalwarts, big up all of the Stalwarts, them wherever them there, right? And that for me was also another experience because I tell you this, Kishima, in my first year of college, I was choosing between University of West Indies, University of Technology. I got accepted to University of Technology and chose to go there because of the advice that was given to me in certain realms of practicability. I'm not trying to throw anything out there to really, make anybody feel any way. I went to both universities. So soon come to UA. But at the time in getting into my undergrad studies, UTech was a choice for where I had envisioned myself in the future. And in the first year, I could not get on hall to board. So, obviously coming from St. Elizabeth, there had to be a system or a setup where I could stay. So I literally lived on Chancellor Hall for my first year of UTech. Don't ask me how, don't ask me who, but I really just bunk it up with some of my brethren them from Monroe who were at UA at the time. And again, in that time, I made a lot of new friends on UA campus, until eventually I got boarding at UTech, where I then transitioned and went over. And, it was just a whole life-changing moment. All the people I met on the dorm, the grubbing, the nightlife, the party life, all these things. I've been there. I've had that life. If anybody out there think I'm somebody different, no, I'm normal person who's had a normal path through life. Nothing different from the average individual, obviously with obstacles and challenges that we've had to overcome.
No.
UTech was great for me because Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right.
I don't say I don't want
No, no.
to run with the show.
I know you're a talker and we have 1 hour, but we're going to definitely make it happen. Stick and stay. We have a quick time signal. Don't go anywhere.
Spark Jamaica will enhance roads, water systems, and telecoms connectivity. Spark the next chapter and build a brighter future with us. The Time by Spark, a program of the Government of Jamaica, is...
It is now 12:45. We're on the road to success and we're journeying with Chief Richard Currie. Now, you're just outlining for us, the college experience that you had. You studied accounting and international business. And after college, you landed jobs in corporate, in the financial sector. Take us back to this defining moment and share with us your roles as a commercial analyst and also as an accountant and how these roles actually help lay the foundation for your success today.
So it's interesting because, again, in New Tech, I studied the business, as I said, business courses, and I graduated with an honors in accounting and international business. But what was key to that happening is attaining a scholarship, a full scholarship in my second year, which was the Scotia Foundation Scholarship. So I want to take the opportunity to big up the Scotia Foundation. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to complete my studies in a timely manner. And their foundation was able to enabled me to also acquire some of the texts that were required. So coming out, I had a mind for the financial sector and the financial industry. So very soon, leading up to graduate. Please let me know if you're hearing me okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I think it's buffering a little bit. I think it's the internet connection, and it could be because you're in those cool hills. But
yes. Are you hearing me clearly?
I am hearing you clearly. You can continue.
Good. Right. So I went to it was a job fair that was being hosted by the University of Technology close towards graduation, where they had various companies, corporate entities that came in and did small interviews for persons seeking employment right after graduation. And one of those entities I spoke to was PricewaterhouseCoopers, the audit firm, which, as you know, is a global entity and one of the most well-known firms within the financial and business sector, as well as audit and assurance. So I got employed to Pricewaterhouse in 2003, I believe, and I did a year as an intern, and that was, I would say, enriching experience. Being exposed to global standards, global policies, and in this global entity, it created a very eye-opening situation for me. The partner, the lead partner at the time was, I believe, Mr. McKnight, right, who was a former Cornwall College boy. So when he heard I was from Monroe, he started taking jabs at me because there's this rivalry between Monroe and Cornwall College. And, for that time, it, again, presented an opportunity to learn and grow in a well-established company. And very shortly after that, I got the opportunity to transition into the financial sector when a friend who I met at Pricewaterhouse had gone over to, at the time, Daring, Bunting and Golding, which is now Scotia Investments, as it was later bought out by Scotia Bank. I went over Daring, Bunting and Golding, I believe it was 2005, right? And I did about 3 years within that entity, as started out as a financial analyst and as an internal auditor, right, coming from Pricewaterhouse with the audit experience and background. But then I went on to become a financial analyst that provided reports and financial
how would I say, recommendations to the clients of the firm. And that opened up my understanding of the financial sector, the money markets, and how these different entities operate and how profit is made. And that pushed me more into wanting to understand the financial markets and be able to make some money, because I saw where, brokerage was the place to be, being a stockbroker and, talking the fancy language, and, when you're able to really comprehend what's going on, it then entices you. And that's, I think, what happened to me. It enticed me because from an accounting background, people think finance is an easy transition. It's not easy. Finance is a little bit more dynamic than accounting, and it requires a bit more in terms of the facets that you have. And expanding on those facets will require dedication. And I took the time to learn. I asked the questions. I spoke to the people there. That environment in that company was first class in that everyone was reachable, from the CEO to the GM, to the treasury manager. Everyone was accessible. So you could learn a lot by just interacting and engaging with them.
And that you did, though. You did learn a lot, because I see where, you ultimately, you climbing the corporate ladder ultimately led to you earning your MBA in finance. And my question to you is, what led you back to a compound with all of what you have accomplished there? What led you back to a compound?
So here's the thing. I was able to pursue my MBA again through creative financing. I bought shares in a DBNG, which I was able to sell, just before they had my debts, and help finance my way through. I also took loans, which I also had to, hold my obligation to. And coming out of DBNG was an offer I received from, again, another friend who was working in another global entity called Diageo, which you would know as Red Stripe, right? Diageo had acquired Red Stripe at the time. And the offer to go over to Diageo was in the position of a commercial analyst. So being a financial analyst, I said, okay, analysis, numbers, figures, and it's a bear. It must be, another learning I could take. So I jumped over there with the hope that that was the entry into now accessing other positions within this wonderful entity. And the learnings I acquired in Red Stripe didn't push me into finance. It actually pushed me more into marketing. So I realized that I had a creative mind, and I had concepts that I would pass on to some of the brand managers at the time, commercial manager, marketing managers, and they were received well. And I got to grow my knowledge base there, and went on from there into other corporate jobs. I went to Lascelles, I went to Consumer Brands, which is now a part of the Grace Kennedy group. And the last, I'd say, significant role I had was with a Japanese firm called Suntory, which operates out of Trinidad with their head office, controlling brands quite familiar to the Jamaican market, such as Lucozade, Ribena, and a few others. So my portfolio was Ribena and Lucozade. So I was responsible for, working alongside the distributor in ensuring that targets were achieved and ensuring objectives were accomplished. And this was in about 2019. And I had other things going on in my life, my personal life. And I think that's what really caused the change and the move to returning home to a compound, right? I was married. I was married in 2012, and unfortunately that didn't work out, and got separated in 2016, and that was finalized in the latter part, I believe, 2018 or 2019. So in that time, of course, a lot of changes, a lot of challenges, and put me on I recognized that not much has changed since I had left. So I started to ask questions because I know I've been all over the world. I've been so much exposed in different areas of business. I thought I had enough to give back to my community in one way or the other. At Red Stripe, there was a sales director from Australia named Tim Zone. He came in and he had this one say that he left me with. He says, "If not you, then who? If not now, then when?" Whenever you're faced with a situation that you're, left with asking, the serious question of your participation, always challenge yourself in asking those questions. And when I did that, I said, okay, I'm going to offer my hand to the previous leader. I went, presented myself. I said, I'm willing to help, do whatever I can. And that was met with a lot of shadiness, to be honest. And I started digging more to understand what was happening and what was going on. And I became very dissatisfied and uncomfortable with some of the revelations that came to the floor. And that is what really pivoted my concept of what would it look like if, one of these young guys around me would be the next chief. Because at that point, I still wasn't thinking me. I've been away from the community for some time, still would come back every now and then. But I wanted to give the support to the youths because it was them who were the ones that were crying out the most, right? Because they wanted a change, they wanted better, they saw where better could be, but it was just not materializing. So that eventually evolved into family giving me the support and the encouragement to do it, them themselves encouraging me to come and do it. And, I went around to the most sacred part of our community, Kinder, where we gather every year to celebrate. And I sat at the Kinder tree one early morning and went into a deep meditation. And I reached out to the Most High and I asked the question, would you support me? Would you be there to support me if I was to take up this mission? And I got the answers right there.
We have Cashpot coming up, but I want to ask you, to start off 2021, you were sworn in as the youngest chief of Akompong. Tell us about this significant moment and, like you mentioned, you went there was a previous chief. Was the community initially receptive of this change? Because we know how people can stay as it relates to change.
Yes. So the change was imminent, right? Let's start out with that, right? The situation was untenable and again, when we talk about being the chief, it's not just a compound. You hear about a compound, but it's not just a compound. There are several districts in and around a compound that are part of the collective, right? And they've been feeling that cry and that pain as well. They haven't gotten any support. They've seen things happen that, haven't made sense, and there are questions that are still unanswered. So the change was imminent. Were they willing to give a young person? That was a bigger question. For one, obviously everybody was looking at what was happening across the world. And the world was moving at a faster pace than what we as the nation, the country Jamaica is moving, but looking at the Maroon nation and what was happening there, we were
Chief
eons
Currie,
behind.
I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. We have Cashpots coming up. We will pick up right after Cashpot. Don't go anywhere.
Oxymaster make everything cleaner.
The time by Oxymaster the Stain Blaster is...
It is now 12:59. We're standing by. Listen up. Your top draw dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4. Hot pick and Cashpot. Lunchtime draws up next.
Moving forward, today, tomorrow, together. Staring to the future, today, tomorrow, together. Building hope within a nation, that's our occupation. Great people doing extraordinary things. IRIE FM, I can hear you.
Welcome to the official live drawing of the Supreme Ventures Lottery Game. This could be your lucky day. Get your tickets out and let the games begin.
Good afternoon. It's Thursday, February 13, 2025. I'm Sharnika and welcome to this afternoon Supreme Ventures live game draw. Now, before we begin, let's have a quick look at our mid-morning winning numbers. All live draws are being supervised by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission and observed by the independent auditing firm PwC. Now, let's put some money in your top draw. This afternoon's jackpot is back at $200,000. Congrats to the mid-morning winner. Here now are your winning top draw numbers. And first off the top draw, we have ball number 6. Your second winning number, that's 7. And I wonder what's next, that's lucky number 13. After 13, we have the number 9. And for that $200,000, you're going to need ball number 5. And now, let's pick your play with our dollars game. I hope you're feeling lucky. Keep those tickets out. Here we go. And let's begin dollars this afternoon with ball number 5. Your second winning number, that's 23. I wonder what's next. Here comes lucky number 31, as well as the number 15. And here comes 19. Keep those tickets out because here comes the number 18. And 34 follows. I guess we're counting down to the number 33. Solid number 20 is next. Here comes 26. 35 follows, and let's end this afternoon's dollars game off with 25. And now for some easy winnings with our pick 2 game. So let's play. And first off, a pick 2 this afternoon is 8. Your second winning number, what's it gonna be? That's 6. Now, once again, your winning pick 2 numbers are 8 and the number 6. Now, up next, you can play it 3 ways. That's, of course, our pick 3 game. So let's play. And first off, a pick 3, we have 5. Your second winning number, here it comes. That's a 3. And what will the third number be? That's a lucky number 7. Now, once again, your winning pick 3 numbers are 5, 3, and 7. Now it's time to turn up your winnings. Get ready for pick 4. And first off a pick 4, we have ball number 6. Your second winning number is 8. What will the third number be? That's a lucky number 7. And the fourth and final winning number is a lucky number 3. Now, once again, your winning pick 4 numbers are 6, 8, 7, and the number 3. Now, this one, it is for win, so let's heat things up with hot pick. And this afternoon's winning hot pick number is a lucky number 12. So congratulations to our hot pick winners. Again, your winning number is 12. Now you live to play it, but can you win it? Get ready to be a big cash pot winner, and let's see what the winning cash pot number will be. And this afternoon's winning cash pot number is, what's it gonna be? That's lucky number 7. And the lucky mark is married woman. Now with cash pot color ball winnings extra bright. From now until March 8th, you can win $305 on the yellow ball, $300 on the green ball, $290 on the blue ball, and guess what? $280 on the white ball for every $10 winning cash pot bet. Now more color ball there than white ball, so play cash pot color ball now. And the yellow ball has been selected. And now let's mega those winnings, so good luck. Here it comes. What's it gonna be for the lunchtime draw? And a white ball has been selected. And now it's time to monster your winnings, so good luck once more. Here it comes. And the monster ball has been selected. Now let's take a look at this afternoon's winning numbers, and of course, congratulations to everyone who won. Now please join us again at 3 p.m. for more games you love to play. I'm Nika. Have a supreme afternoon.
you were a big winner. Play your favorite Supreme Ventures games every day and tune in for our live draw 6 times a day at 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8:25 p.m. on this station. Supreme Ventures, making winners every day.
That was the lunchtime top draw dollars, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and cash pot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in cash pot and special pot draws. If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we're journeying with Chief Richard Currie. Now, Chief Currie, before the cash pot break, you were in the process of talking about change was inevitable as it relates to a compound, but the larger question was if they were ready for a young leader.
Yes, thank you, Christine. So, yes, so correct, right? Because traditionally, when you go into a community and ask for the chief, right, you normally see a elderly folk or a well senior person stepping forward to present himself or herself, because the situation has been that traditionally the elders are the bearers of the culture and the information and the holders of certain vital aspects of sustaining this that we have. So the question was always, is he ready or does he have it, right? I was eventually able to show that I have it through the whole campaign period, because I think the message of change was welcoming, but also promised, because they understood where my background was. The things that I spoke of made sense to them and they could relate to. And the change that they wanted to see was what they were hearing. The mission was then ahead of us. Can we deliver on what we would have promised? So what I can say to you is that this mission has been no short of drama. It has been no short of learning and growing, but at the same time, we would have accomplished a whole lot of things to, in my opinion, bring back some dignity to our community and to the people, right, who bear this culture and this heritage that is the backbone of our nation.
What are your top 2 priorities as chief?
My top 2 priorities have been, one, water, right? Restoring water to, putting water in our community. We have no running water, right? Water has been a significant challenge for us, and I put it as first because it changes so much in terms of the quality and the standard of living for the people, right? It's been a crying issue for years. Not only that, we're a farming community. So imagine what water would do for us in transforming our ability to create our own economic independence for our households. The next main challenge that I had put on the table for myself and for my administration was obtaining the recognition and the inclusiveness, right, that we're entitled to, being a part of this great island, right? It is important that we understand the political and historical nature of the people they call Maroons, because Maroon was just another name for the First Nation Jamaicans, right? It was just a label given to us, right? But it has become tarnished with a lot of misleading representations of what the Maroons did and who the Maroons are, who they were and who they are today, right? A lot of that has created this divide in our country. Now, for us, the recognition is important because when the Treaty of 1738 was signed, what it recognized was that the British, right, the monarch, recognized that these people on this island that they came and saw were free, they're independent, they had their own governance systems and structures in place. And as much as they tried to capture, kill, and enslave them, they could not do so. because these natives knew the island more than them. They could survive in the roughest and hardest terrain, and that created a challenge for them as we raided and tore down the plantations, because we were fighting back to preserve the freedom that we have. So it wasn't a freedom that was given to us. We already have that freedom. The British themselves acknowledged that, right? We fought to defend this land. It wasn't just a part of the land. The entire nation was at war. It was a war against the people of the island versus the colonizers. It was first the Spanish, then the British.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, divide,
result,
no, sorry, go ahead. The result? No, I was saying that
the result was
No, go ahead. The result.
The result was the establishing of two jurisdictions on the island, right? Under law, recognized in international law, because the British needed this treaty to go back to England so they could continue, right, being here, having a presence here. And that is the problem that many have chastised the Maroons for in keeping the British here. There are many, many parts of what that treaty did that people are not understanding. But I do take, right, I would say the emotions of what comes with that agreement that was signed in 1738. The more important thing, Kishima, for the listeners to understand is that what that document did was preserve the rights to land for the people of this island. They called us Maroons, but let's just stop again and let me repeat that. It preserved land rights for the people of the island, not those registered as citizens of the state of Jamaica, the people that were called Maroons. What that means, their rights and privileges, particularly as it relates to land, that precedes this government, precedes this constitution, that remain in force today. And for us now, as a people, in a collaborative manner with government, decide on the best way to settle our beautiful island, to call it a true republic. Because all these lands that are not a part of the Crown's estate cannot be automatically absorbed into a new republic without the dialogue of all the Maroon leaders and other indigenous leaders.
No, all right. So you said a lot where there are several areas that I want to springboard from. I want to talk about you attending the PNP conference. I want to talk about a post that Sizzla made, and I also want to bring up Queen Ifrica, for example, as you mentioned certain things. Queen Ifrica, she has called for unity in the Maroon community, indicating that there is division. Do you believe that there is division within the Maroon leadership, your leadership?
Whatever divisions existed, and I'm not saying divisions did not exist, they did exist, but all of that has been resolved, right? In October, I attended the Moortown Maroon celebrations, which all the other Maroon leaders were present, except Colonel Douglas, who unfortunately passed away untimely a few weeks before. And that in itself was the first occasion in several years that all the leaders were together on stage. And I took the opportunity then to really make amends to whatever misunderstandings or misrepresentations might have occurred in the past. That was again followed by our celebration January 6th, where again all the leaders were present, including the head of the Taino community and other members of the Rastafari community. So a concerted effort has been made to really unify the voices and bring attention to the cause and the plights of the Maroons. Now, Queen Ifrica has been crying out for quite some time, and a lot of the exploits of which the unification conversation started was in her first visit here in a compound when I came into office. I believe it was 2021, but I met up with her, I think it was in 2022. There was a very unique incident that took place here, but, both of us left with the respect of each other in trying to resolve, issues that she had particularly related to one of our Maroon communities over in Flagstaff. Now, alongside that would have been the echoes of Sizzla Kalanji, who has called for unity within the Maroon community, and also knowingly he's a part of Rastafari community. They have been strived with their own struggles of unity. But the problem that we all are having is that we're not seeing that we're the ones that need to strike the unity. It makes no sense going out and bawling out and calling out and doing all this when together we can sit together, have our discussions, and fix our issues. We've made several efforts to do that, and that has happened. So I'm comfortable in terms of the path to unity, and I daringly say that there's still work to be done, but no one can say there's this unity in the Maroon community, not anymore.
As you mentioned that too, like I want to read a post that Sizzla made, right? In a series of IG posts, he declared, quote, "You are no paramount chief for no Maroons in Jamaica unless we, the Windward or Leeward Rastafari Hebrew Israelite Maroon Nation, crowned you." What's your response to this statement that Sizzla made?
Well, he made a statement. I'm not sure if it was directed at me, right? Secondly, if it was directed at me, there are also avenues for venting these issues or concerns. So with that, I believe that, whatever issues that it is that people may think that is there, that is of a paramount nature, it's nothing that can be fixed or addressed. So I've made nothing of those posts. Everyone is entitled to the freedom of speech in doing what they do. What I have been doing as elected chief, right, is a representation of the rights of the people, which includes Sizzla, which includes Rastafari, which includes all other indigenous members of our great island, right? So what I would love to see is more of the voice being directed at those trying to wipe us off the table, those trying to annex our lands, mine our lands, take away our rights. This is what the mission is about, because we miss this opportunity now. When again will we ever have this opportunity? We are in the process of constitution reform. You don't just change a constitution anytime you feel like. We're in a one-off situation here, looking at where the state government is discussing stepping away from the monarch, which we fully endorse. But what must be understood by the wider public is that there's an agreement that recognizes our stewardship and ownership of land that this government must acknowledge and recognize before bullying their way into a republic in an effort to annex and mine and sell off the rest of what we the people have. Right? You see the challenges we have with the beaches. You see the challenges we have with people building houses on land that they've grown and their ancestors, their grandmothers are buried on, and all these things. These lands now belong to the people. So there's no way people should be bulldozed and houses pushed down. Somebody is liable for that, because this document that we have preserved to today gives you that right. And I'm stripping the title of Maroon away. The First Nation Jamaicans, right? We have land. We need to decide what we're going to do about it and how we're going to defend what we have that's left.
No, as you mentioned, the government, last year you were criticized by many for giving a speech at the PNP conference. How do you respond to those who felt it was inappropriate or that Maroon leadership should remain politically neutral?
I would say they're backward thinking and they're not following the evolution of what is taking place as it relates to rights, as it relates to preservation of our land, our history, and our culture. The Maroon Treaty is a political document. It created a jurisdiction, right? A jurisdiction that is supposed to present itself in an amicable relationship with the Crown, who has put in place an agent, which is the government of Jamaica, to oversee its affairs on the island. That's what happened in 1962. So, the question is, how do Maroons today protect and preserve what they have if there's no engagement or discussion with the government, who is an agent of the Crown? Now, In my 4 years being in office, I've written to the Prime Minister's office, agents of the government from other departments, for the Ministry of Culture, Foreign Affairs, no less than 14 times. I've invited the Prime Minister, the Minister of Culture, to the annual celebrations for 4 years. No one has attended from the government side of the fence. I've again taken the opportunity to literally hand deliver letters to the Prime Minister's office, as well as the Minister of Constitutional Affairs, Malahoo Ford, and still no response. My consistent advocacy for dialogue was further aggravated, I believe, in my second year when a request was sent out by the Prime Minister for meeting with the Maroon leadership, but on one stipulation, that I not be invited. And that was what created a wedge between the communities in that time, which again, we have mended. But there and then, it signaled that there was an unwillingness for the government to engage with myself. I don't know if the arguments for protecting the land was interfering with other agreements and engagements that probably would have gone through the gate or fly through the gate, as they would say, that have now come into disrepute. The bauxite issue was a very sore one. That again may have been challenging for them and brought questions that could not be answered and created a very unfriendly environment. Now again, Chief Currie has been always open to having this dialogue. We've had many means of approaching members of the government, all of which have been shut down. I have friends who were high school friends who are now MPs, the Minister of Agriculture, right? And these things are just what it is right now. There's a total apprehensiveness of engaging with myself. But on the other hand, of the 4 years I've been here, the leader of the opposition had presented himself 3 times to Akompong. And when he did not come, he sent a representative, right? Since then, he has invited all the other Maroon leaders to a meeting to discuss the challenges that we're having and ways at looking how we go forward, right? When I went to that the launch in October, it was, or September, I believe, the conference in September, I went as leader of the Akompong Maroons. I did not go as a PNP representative. I did not go as a representative of or somebody of another party. I went with my flag, I went with my garb, and I went with a message that we, the Maroons, are still here. We deserve conversation, we deserve respect, and a constitutional change cannot happen without the engagement of the Maroons. If you're not going to talk to us as the government, we have the right to engage with the other side of government. Because again, the treaty is a political document that created a jurisdiction that gave us full autonomy and responsibility to protect. But it has to work alongside a state, which we have to decide how that works legislatively and constitutionally. We cannot allow it to pass and not get our voices down.
You've definitely gotten the support from the entertainment community, though. We have seen the likes of Abuja Bantan, Vibes Cartel, Popcorn, Bounty Killer, Spragga Benz, and others. They have openly supported you. Do you see this as a sign that more Jamaicans, especially those in the entertainment industry, are recognizing the importance of Maroon sovereignty?
It is showing you the importance of understanding who we are as a people, because all those persons you just called are Maroons. We need to understand how Maroons have impacted the culture of our great nation. As I said, it's not about this drum knocking and all these things. You see how the culture has evolved with the contributions of these said persons you've just named. And there are several others. Jimmy Cliff is a Maroon, right? A lot of people didn't know that, right? There are many other Maroons out there within the culture, within the hemisphere, that have shaped Jamaica in what it is today, that are Maroons. How many more are there that are not coming forward and saying, I'm a Maroon? Right? I just met one the other day at the Bob Marley 80th birthday celebration. I won't call his name, but a big top entertainer in Jamaica. And he come to me and he said, "Me see you going with me a Maroon. I'm in the whole heap of nice and thing. But me I make you know, we see the fight and we are supporting move. Stand up." So we have to appreciate that in every nook and cranny of Jamaica, it's not just in the communities that you hear are Maroon villages, that Maroons are. Maroons are scattered right across the island.
In 2025, Chief Currie, how do you see the younger generation of Maroons embracing their heritage and identity?
It's recognizing the impact it has on a global scale, right? We're in a closed community. Not much really happens here unless we make the effort to make it happen. We were able to take a contingent of the culture group to Washington, D.C. last year at the Buju Banton show, and that gave them a lot of exposure, but also gave the people there a whole lot of exposure and knowledge in understanding that, hey, these people are still here on the island, right? Our January 6th celebration this year was massive. It was, again, highlighting the significance of this culture. You didn't see it in the newspaper, you didn't see it on TV, you didn't see anything about it. But if you go on the Instagram page, my Instagram page, Chief Richard Currie or Maroon Fest JA, you see what capacity this event holds, what it pulls, and what it does. For the youths, it's for now creating an enabling environment, putting in the necessary type of infrastructure and support systems for them to build off of, right? Use of technology, the use of, science and internet, right? We have Starlink system set up. We're trying to create an interface here. We want to run an entrepreneurial center to upskill our young minds. We want to put in I don't want to say too much, because sometimes when I say too much, there comes other challenges in getting done. But we need to create an enabling environment for the youths, because right now, a lot of them are just sitting and looking, right? And there's an expectation, it's a blind expectation. Because we have to do something to get something, right? As the council, we make money through different ways. We have to be very creative in doing what we do to raise funds. So money is not always there. So we've been able to accomplish everything we've done in the last 4 years with absolutely 0% support from any state government or party. And we're very happy and proud that we've been able to show people that we still can do this and make things happen. For the next quarter, Kishima, you will see an unfolding of change in our compound, because we'll be doing a lot. Give thanks to Mark Myrie and his contributions to the community development, as well as others in the background who have continued to support and donate to our cause in making this happen. So I just want to say really appreciative of this.
You mentioned technology earlier, and technology and social media are changing the way how communities connect. How are the Maroons using digital platforms to share their story?
All right. Well, the typical, a lot of people are on the TikTok, a lot of people are on Instagram. But what we've been doing as a community, right, through the council, right, we've gone through this through an entity called EdJam to create and set up a virtual tour, as well as a system to preserve and store, our historical data, and our presentations using audio visual devices and equipment. And a big part of what we want to do is to be able to facilitate persons not only here in Jamaica but also globally to experience and appreciate what we have in this little community here and what we want to share to the wider world, which again is a significant part of the fabric of who we are as a people. Jamaica is a people of, I would say, we're leaders of liberation, right? Anyway, injustice, there man have a leak out, right? That's in the blood, in the spirit. It's a spirit of liberation and freedom, right? People need to remember that, because we kind of get covered and fall back now and just take everything.
No, I want to ask you this though. Does L.A. Lewis have like official ties to the Maroon community, or are his claims just theatrics and clout?
Kishima, every time that name comes up, I just have to give the response. L.A. Lewis is doing what L.A. Lewis feels like he needs to do. Anyone can get up tomorrow and be self-proclaimed or whatever it is they want to do. Again, I'm an elected leader. We have people, we have land, we have a government, and we have a document that speaks to our abilities entering into international agreements. And to that we hold true and to that we respect. What we do not appreciate is the sentiment of gimmicks that comes around the Maroon business, because it then spells confusion, right, in people trying to understand who have been sheltered from this information, whether deliberately or not, and now trying to understand. It creates an air and atmosphere of confusion, but one must again understand. Chief Currie is an elected leader. We have our communities and our people. There's a governance structure in place that dates back over 287 years. What we're doing here is not a puppy show thing. This is real life situation, looking out for the lives and the posterity, those who are here and those to come, right? So my job is to preserve that in the highest nature and not to entangle our affairs in things that are detracting from the mission and detracting from the objective. And one has to question if it's part and party to a deliberate effort to again subdue the Maroons, subdue the rights of the Maroons, creating the confusion, as you see has been happening Rastafari, to then say, oh, we don't know who to talk to because there's too much confusion. And this person saying that these things are deliberate. They're being done so as to avoid coming to the table, sitting down, and having the tough conversation that is life-changing for hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people on this island. Time to fix it.
Chief Currie, people talk about commitment and drive very often, but how important is it to have ethics?
It is very important because every day you wake up is a new day for opportunities, but also challenges that may come. I have had to evolve in my role. Who I was coming in is not who I am now. And who I am next year will be a totally different person from what I am today. It is an ever-changing role, and one has to have the ability to adapt, to evolve. But I think the most important lesson I've learned from being here is being as straight as you need to be without any need to feel censored or demotivated, because the importance of what we're standing for and what we're fighting for goes beyond what any one individual or group of individuals can do against it, right? It is God's work. We are doing the work of the Most High in preserving for us what hundreds of thousands died for. The blood of this nation is still upon these lands, as well as those who came to try and oppress us, right? A treaty that was signed in blood to honor and respect those who have gone before us. We have preserved this now for our great nation and our people to have a right to call somewhere home and not have fear that tomorrow they're going to be ripped up, torn off, or misplaced for some capitalistic-driven initiative or ideology.
When your tenure ends, Chief Currie, how do you want Chief Richard Currie to be remembered?
As someone who restored the dignity in the name of a people, as someone who helped to educate and re-educate those who might have been lost or misled, someone who did everything in his capacity and ability to try and mobilize his community and enhance the dignity of his people and bring back pride in a nation that stood as leaders of liberation when there was no hope for who we call black, we're Moors, for who we are as a people today. We held that basket, we carried that weight so that today we can still say, yes, we own something. We do have the rights to land. We do have a place. No one can come and just move us and tell us we don't belong. There's a part of us that makes this land what it is today and makes our people who we are today. Big up to Usain Bolt, another Maroon.
How would you describe Chief Richard Currie, the family man?
Why Kishima play hard. I say family has been very tough. I have a 4-year-old, well, 3.5-year-old daughter, and you know, the time I get to spend with her, I'm very grateful. I do feel a sense of concern for the sake that she may grow up in a country that has lost its identity, and for that fact, I have pushed harder as any one of us would who has a child and would want for them better that we would have gone through in our lives. So balancing that as well as not necessarily having an income is a challenge, but being able to maneuver and being able to be gracious and be grateful for what I have has enabled abundance to continue to flow to a compound and to our other communities. And I'm grateful for that, in just knowing that there's a God that is seeing, and you know, a God that we fear. We're God-fearing people, and we know that, you know, doing God's work, there can be no fear.
And finally, Chief Currie, if you could send one message to Jamaicans and the world about the Maroons, what would it be?
The Maroons are your brothers and your sisters. The Maroons are the leaders of liberation. The Maroons are the reason why today we can have this beloved nation. Unsettled as things might be, the Maroons have a lot that they could share, that they could collaborate and work with this great nation to make it even greater. You heard the Prime Minister say at his conference the other day, where he invited the former leader, that their heritage assets that the Maroons in a compound have, that they have plans for. With those heritage assets, of course, we're very much aware that we have these assets. We would like to explore opportunities to enter into mutually beneficial agreements and engagements to facilitate stimulating economies of the Maroons as well as the state. So the Maroons are here to amplify the quality of our culture, the quality of our living, the quality of our medicine, the quality of our food. We are a part of the fabric of this society. We're not trying to separate anything. We're trying to preserve what we, the people, have, to protect it from interference that could act contrary to what we desire.
Chief Richard
So
Currie,
we need the support. We need the support to ensure that the constructive dialogue and processes are observed in this constitutional reform. The Maroons are protecting the land for Uno and for we. That's it.
Chief Richard Currie, thank you so much. This was really insightful, a lot of information, and I really appreciate you just taking all the questions and, you know, talking to us, not shying away from anything. So thank you so much, and all the best.
Love and respect every time, Kishima. Keep doing the good work, and I thank all the listeners out there. You know, there's March 1st coming up, which is Treaty Day. Treaty Day celebrated across the Maroon communities. They'll be having activities in Flagstaff as well as a compound. So if you can make it up for March 1st, I invite everyone to come up and just share the day with me. It will be exciting. Bless up, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Chief Richard Currie. What a journey. Stick and stay. See you on the flip side of this break.
Come and enjoy your Wendy's Dave's Classic, our signature square burger, served hot off the grill with the best ingredients.
The time is...
It is now 1:39.
Why? No, man. I got to put on my darkers. Tommy, I saw your colors them over extra bright.
Then no more